Mysterious and a bit unsettling. What to do? There they are, the Ashwinders.
You will not survive this fight!
That's it!
No one takes one of my own and lives to tell of it! You should never have come here! Fight for me, Bolso!
I retrieved the helmet from the Ashwinders.
Well done. This is sure to impress Ranrock. The helmet shines even more brightly than I imagined. The etchings, the contour of the profile, remarkable.
It just looks like a helmet to me.
Ah, you're looking at what it is, rather than what it means. To most goblins, this is more than a mere helmet. You did the thieves a service by recovering it. I know many a goblin who would have killed for it.
Ah, then I'm glad to be rid of it myself.
Thank you. This should earn Ranrock's trust. I will take it to him immediately. It may distract him from his search.
His search?
It is merely an inkling. You have impressed me greatly, friend. I am glad that I trusted you. We shall speak soon. Best to keep our arrangement quiet for now. Many will not believe that our aims might possibly be aligned.
Hello, friend. I wonder if you might stop by the Three Broomsticks when you can. I would like your help with something.
As I mentioned, my sister Anne misses Hogwarts, and she hasn't been herself lately. I'd like to take you up on your promise to visit her with me. I'm heading to Feldcroft soon, so I'll look forward to seeing you there. It's just south of Hogwarts. By the way, hope you're faring well with the blasting curse. It's still one of my...
Now that you've attended Beasts class, I've asked Deke to assist you in using the room to further your studies in that regard. Please meet him there when you can.
I've not heard from my Uncle Roland in quite some time. I've been beside myself with worry. Could you meet me in the courtyard?
I was standing behind it.
Glad you came.
Revelio. Hello, Serona. I received your owl. How are you?
Hello, my friend. Did you ever find Lodgok?
I did, thank you. We had a good conversation. He sends you his best.
Glad to hear it. I shan't ask for details of your little chat, and I'll refrain from telling you to be careful yet again. But I hope you will be, whatever your plans.
Of course. Your owl mentioned you're needing my help with something?
I do. I thought you might be just the person to do a favour for my friend Dorothy Sprottle in Upper Hogsfield.
I don't believe I've met Mrs. Sprottle.
She's lovely. Her late husband Aidan was a friend of my father's. In fact, I'd stayed with Dot and Aidan the summers I waited tables here as a student. I've seen her a few times since Aidan passed, but the pub's been so busy lately, I've not been as attentive as I'd have liked. I wonder if you might pop in and see her. She may need some help collecting ingredients for her supply of Wiggenweld potion. And you could retrieve something of mine in the process. A box, full of old letters and such.
Why does Mrs. Sprottle keep a supply of Wiggenweld potion on hand?
Dot's a skilled potioneer. She's been supplying travelling vendors with Wiggenweld potion. An ordinary precaution that has, unfortunately, become a necessity, what with Ranrock's loyalists disrupting the trade routes.
Why did Mr. and Mrs. Sprottle have your box of letters after all this time?
It's one of a few that I had when I was young. Dot found it when she was clearing out a closet. Can't imagine what's in there. Probably terribly theatrical. The ramblings of a teenage witch and her friends. You're welcome to take a peek inside, if you do find it. To be honest, I'd imagine it contains some lovely memories.
I'll try to go and see her when I can.
It would mean the world to me, and to Dorothy. Aidan was bringing the box of letters to me when he was taken ill. Dot can tell you where he might have dropped it. You'll find the hamlet just north of Hogsmeade. Please do give Dot my love.
Revelio.
They come after me. I'll stick 'em like a one in Berlin. I heard something.
Abandoned long ago, no doubt. Ah, Upper Hogsfield. Now where to find Mrs. Sprottle? Revelio.
Welcome to Upper Hogsfield.
Bardo Beaumont should have returned by now. Had by dark wizards he was.
Hello, Mrs. Sprottle. Actually, Sirona Ryan asked if I'd come and see you.
Oh, dear Sirona, a gem. Has been for as long as I've known her.
She thought you might need help collecting ingredients for your Wiggenweld potion.
And she's correct. My darling Aidan used to collect Horklumps for me. Since he died, my supply has dwindled.
I'm sorry for your loss, Mrs. Sprottle.
Oh, thank you. Love of my life. A bit lost without him. If you wouldn't mind gathering some Horklumps for me, I'd be happy to compensate you for your time.
I can certainly try and find some for you.
That would be wonderful. I'm worried about the travelling vendors and would love to get them more Wiggenweld potion.
Sirona also mentioned that Mr. Sprottle was bringing her a box of letters when he fell ill.
Indeed he was. I'd almost forgotten. I stumbled upon it just before Aidan died. He was hoping to go through it with Sirona over a butterbeer or two. Those two were always like two bowtruckles in a branch. Aidan took ill when he was collecting hawk clumps on his way to see her. He made it home, but I fear he dropped the box in the cavern. The cavern is in the hills just southwest of our hamlet. You can gather hawk clumps and collect the box of letters there.
Sirona said she lived with you during the summers when she was at Hogwarts. What was she like?
Oh, goodness. Well, she was almost exactly like she is now. Charming, good head on her shoulders, taking care of everyone. I can't tell you the fun we had when she and her friends would visit us during the year, all buzzing about, practicing charms. Talented group. Her friend Mirabelle was a genius in the garden. Learned it all from her muggle parents, if you can believe it.
Do you remember anything about the letters you put in the box?
Oh, of course. A few letters from some of her school friends. Some nice memories. I even included a letter Sirona had written to me when she was staying with us. Thought she might enjoy reading it. I know when I read writing from my youth, I'm always astonished at how much I've changed, and yet remain the same.
Thank you, Mrs. Sprottle.
Thank you. I'll be here if you are able to collect those hawk clumps. I, and the vendors I help, would greatly appreciate it.
I should dismount here. This must be the cabin Mrs. Sprottle mentioned.
I tell you, Hogwarts is lucky they've got rid of
Depulso! Protego! Stupid one! Descendo! Depulso! Stupid one! Accio! Incendio! Defendo! Confringo! Descendo! Depulso! Flipendo! Arresto Momento!
slippery little shraycant.
Defendo! Confringo! Incendio! Accio! Descendo! Revelio.
Better have a look around, see if I can find that box of letters. Getting there. Just a few more hawk clumps to harvest.
Revelio. Confringo. Lumo.
Almost there. One more hawk clump to harvest. That's all the hawk clumps for now. Mrs. Sprottle should be pleased.
Confringo. Revelio.
Either Either I'll have to fight that troll, or avoid it altogether.
Defender! Incendio! Confringo! Glacier! Defender! Incendio! Confringo! Incendio! Confringo! Defender! Incendio! Confringo! Protego! Stupefy! Defender! Incendio! Confringo! Incendio! Defender! Incendio! Confringo! Gracious! Arresto momentum. Defender! Incendio! Confringo! Incendio! Confringo! Defender! Incendio! Defender! Incendio! Confringo! Defender! Protego! Stupefy! Incendio! Confringo! Stupefy! Defender! Incendio! Confringo! Incendio! Defender! Incendio! Protego! Stupefy! Confringo! Incendio! Defender! Confringo! Incendio! Incendio! Defender! Confringo! Incendio! Protego! Stupefy! Confringo! Defender! Incendio! Incendio! Confringo! Defender! Incendio! Confringo! Incendio! Defender! Incendio. Confringo. Defendo. Incendio. Confringo. Incendio. Defendo. Confringo. Incendio. Confringo. Defendo. Incendio. Confringo. Incendio. Defendo. Confringo. Protego. Stupefy. Incendio. Confringo. Defendo.
Rest easy, my large friend.
Revelio. Confringo.
Lumos.
Revelio. Confringo.
This must be Sirona's box of letters. I think that's everything.
Rally behind strength when you can't.
Shane Bardolph thought dark magic was the answer. I reckon Rookwood's played a hand in his disappearance.
Hello, Mrs. Sprottle. I have good news. I was able to harvest some Hawklumps for you, and I found Sirona's box of letters.
Oh, thank you. How wonderful. The travelling vendors will be thrilled to replenish their stock of Wiggenweld potion. And Sirona will be delighted to have those letters.
Sirona, she'll be glad to have it back. I should dismount here.
Bardolph Beaumont should have returned by now.
What do you have in store for me this time?
I suspect you are the one who has been interfering with a rather personal matter. The Demiguise statues and the moons contained therein were placed as they were for good reason. You should not meddle in the personal affairs of others. He'll see it was a mistake, parting ways with me.
We'll still talk about you taking down that troll in the village circle. You certainly...
Hello, Sirona. I have good news. I was able to provide your friend Mrs. Sprottle with some Hawklumps for her Wiggenweld potion, and I found your box of letters.
Oh, thank you. I knew you were the one to ask.
I wondered about some of the letters in the box.
Of course. It appears most of the letters were from fellow students.
One of the letters mentions Quidditch practice. Did you play?
I did. Was the Ravenclaw Seeker for 3 years. Oh, Merlin's beard. I adore Quidditch. Nothing like the feeling of catching the golden snitch when your team's down by 140 points.
Someone named Mirabelle. Is that Professor Garlick?
It is. Still one of my dearest friends. I know she wouldn't mind you having seen that letter. She and I are of a similar mind, especially when it comes to young people. We believe experience to be an invaluable teacher. To borrow a phrase from Mirabelle, it's a joy to see anyone blossom, but particularly one who doubted they ever would.
I spotted a letter from you to Mrs. Sprottle. You two seem to have a lot of fun together.
We do. She taught me so much during my summers with her and Aidan. I shall be the first to admit that adolescents aren't always the easiest to understand. And not everyone was as kind to me as the Sprottles. But the depth of their kindness, and that of so many of my friends, got me through... well, got me through some challenging times, to put it mildly.
I'm glad I could be of help. Mrs. Sprottle sends her best.
Don't know what I'd have done without her and Aidan. Thank you, again, for helping her, and for returning this box of letters. It's nice to reflect on good memories. I'll say it again. Can't thank you enough for helping to save the village from those trolls.
Anyone care enough to remove my Demiguise statues?
Pardon me, sir, but about those curious Demiguise statues I've seen.
What? Who are you? Why do you ask?
They're causing Mr. Moon terrible distress.
Ha! Good. That was the idea.
So you did create them?
yes, I did. It was a ploy to give that pathetic oaf Moon a taste of the grief he caused me years ago. You are the one who's been pilfering them.
I am, at the request of Mr. Moon. I received your owl on your stationery.
Ah, well, fitting Moon would enlist a student. Too cowardly to do it himself. Hasn't changed a bit. Even when we were at school, he was a cowardly bully. Gave me a horrible nickname, which I shan't repeat. I was thrilled when we left school and he seemed gone for good. Then I started seeing him around Hogsmeade. It was too much. Even if I do take satisfaction in that his life's destiny was to be a lowly caretaker.
Mr. Moon does a good deal for the school, and he's taught me a lot. He's terrified of those statues.
I know. You should have seen his face when that boggart appeared. Oh, priceless. That's when I knew what I needed to do. I simply didn't want to encounter him anymore. So, I shrewdly put a boggart in his path to learn his greatest fear. I then created the demiguise statues to keep him in his place, so to speak. The moons were an inspired play on his name. It worked brilliantly. Until you started clearing them out.
The statues are a form of bullying. You're no better than him. Perhaps it's time you both moved on.
Fair point, I suppose. If they've terrified him, as you say, he may have learned his lesson.
Mr. Moon, I've learned who's behind the demiguise statues. It was a classmate of yours that you bullied, Piers Pemberton.
Oh, I might have known. Pigtails Piers.
I don't think he likes being called that.
Of course he does. Oh, we had such flowing locks. We used to laugh about them. I laughed the hardest of all. Clever, clever man. I'd no idea he was so devious. I must go and congratulate him. Whatever statues remain seem less terrifying now that I know they were put out by old pigtails. Continue collecting them if you like. As for me, I'm going to go and pay a visit to my old friend.